Welcome to Three Cops Talk. On this podcast, three active duty police officers discuss behind-the-scenes stories and real-life accounts of what it's like to be a cop. Every episode, you'll get an inside look at the challenges and dangers they face on a daily basis, as well as the triumphs and inspirational moments that make it all worth it. If you want to understand more about the men and women who put their lives on the line for us every day, then this is the show for you. And now your hosts, Chris, Scott, and Shaun.
On this episode, we get together to talk about the recent flap surrounding the Jason Aldean hit song, Try That in a Small Town. If you have any ideas or topics for the show, please reach out to us at 3copstalk@gmail.com. That's the number 3copstalk@gmail.com. If you'd like to reach us through social media, our details are in the show notes.
Views and opinions expressed in this episode belong solely to the hosts and do not represent the views of any professional organization. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, Chris, Scott's back with us. He just got back from Michigan.
Yeah,
He's back from Michigan.
He did.
UP. Yeah, right. You little know fact that Scott, as his citizenship, it's almost like a passport, like from the UP. He had to go up there and get Ryan out of the Michigan militia. There's a draft up there. Like if you don't like these kids that are from Russia, like when they come here, if they don't renounce their citizenship and become American citizens, they have to go serve in the Ukraine. Scott's trying to get
right. If you fall off of one of those tankers coming through Sault Ste. Marie up there,
right?
It's
exactly.
the only way.
They fish you out.
It's like it's some kind of they fish you out, and you're now like.
And they tell you how not to cooperate with FBI informants. So.
It was something else to have my cousin working the grill at one end of the deck, and then we had the AR at the other end of the deck. One of my favorite foods, the pasty. The pasty.
Oh,
if you're familiar with what a pasty is.
A pasty? Yeah.
Elaborate. Elaborate.
Sorry.
You need to elaborate.
Please.
Pasty is, I don't know the history of it per se.
Is that where they put the gravy on the French fries?
No, the pasty is, they do that, but yeah, pasty is like a giant hot pocket with meat, potatoes, rutabaga, all this stuff, onions baked into it. And they made them because the miners up there would take them down into the mines, and it would stay warm. And it's like a full meal.
Right. Talk about freaking calzone.
Right. You know what they should do?
But it's like an Upper Michigan calzone.
It's a UP calzone. It's UP calzone.
We don't have rutabaga in it, but yeah.
Yeah.
They need to start shipping them over those kids that are like digging out in those cobalt mines in Africa. You know what I mean? They just I
could start some kind of program where I'm sending.
You got something on your teeth. Rutabaga. You got rutabaga.
I don't even know how to spell it. Man,
right,
something about it. It's that and some brown gravy. You can't go wrong.
And what I understand, you also took in Barbie up there. You took in Barbie up there while you're up there, and like a little drive-in theater up there.
Yeah, I don't think they had that up there.
My son went to see it. My oldest son, Brendan. He was like, if there was a modern day Kramer, that's my oldest son. And because he spits out these words at me, and I go, well, what'd you think? You know, because you couldn't get an Oppenheimer. That was all out everywhere. Like you couldn't get in there. And Barbie apparently is just killing it. But I said to my son, and he's a pretty open-minded kid, you know, modern kid. And I said, what do you think of it? He goes, Dad, it's a zeitgeist.
A what?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait a minute. I was stationed in Germany for 4 years. That sounds German. I think it was a German word. And after I looked it up, and I was relieved that it wasn't some form of like weird German porn.
You're not going to tell them you don't know.
Right. And I was relieved that it wasn't some form of German porn. I was like, okay. And it is basically what they say is it's a sign of the time. It's something that commemorates, which is what this time is going to be remembered for. And that's why we decided to get on the show. Not to talk about Barbie and Scott getting his oldest out of the Michigan militia.
Not to interrupt, but what is Oppenheimer even supposed to be about?
I think it's about like a five and dime store. Like, wasn't it Oppenheimer's? Like you would go in there and
Woolworths?
get yeah, exactly. I think that's what it was. Yeah. About
Ben Franklin.
It was about Oppenheimer. No, it was about the guy who was the father of the modern nuclear age weapon. It's apparently it's supposed to be like a great film in that sense.
Really?
So spoiler alert here, so you guys know. we detonated the bomb. So if you're going in there expecting that not to happen, it happens. So you just
I'm out.
We set off the bomb, and
Never
the
mind.
atmosphere didn't catch on fire like they were afraid of it. So, but go see it anyway, because it's honestly.
I'll just read the review on Rotten
Yeah,
I
Tomatoes.
was kind of
right,
hoping it was like the Oppenheimer
Tomatoes.
fund. I thought it'd be a cool
Yeah.
movie.
No.
Chris is thinking money. It's about what?
What
Wait
is
a
this?
minute. Wait a minute. That's a
What? I
bomb.
would- what?
No
Yeah.
thanks. No thanks. Goddamn
But
popcorn.
the zeitgeist of today, this week's show is there's a certain song out there. The last episode we talked about like music that we liked, and obviously I'm in the clue bag realm of this because it's a country song. And if you haven't heard about it by now, I mean, I'm not sure where you've been. And it's called "Try That in a Small Town." This fella, this young man's name is Jason Aldean, and he sang a song that's got a lot of people up in arms. You know, music doesn't do that to people. You know, the First Amendment is art. Covers art, and it's art, and people are offended by it, and people are motivated by it. And Chris is a big country fan, as he let us know. Scott is too. I'm not. I mean, I don't know it. I mean, I admire it from afar, I guess. But I from what I understand, it's got some people pretty upset. Chris, what's the deal with this?
Well, yeah. So it came out, and I don't know. I got the text message from my my younger daughter, who's in country music, in the country music business. And
He's an insider.
I can't tell you the context of the text because I get the oh my god the whole the hammers flying about legal this or that, but that's why she's my daughter. But anyway, so it's basically about Jason Aldean singing about how he wants values to go back to the way they were, where when you're living in a small town, people tend to take care of each other, no matter color, creed, sexual orientation, whatever, like for example, when, you see some of these small towns when there's a tornado, everybody gets together and gathers up and helps people, whose house has been destroyed or, they lose cattle or whatever. Or, if there's a protest that's coming into town, it's not going to happen. And you saw some of these clips that came through, and it's just about, coming back to our core values. Cause I just think that we've gone so far where, and this is my interpretation of it, is that we've gone so far that we just don't take care of each other like we used to. And everybody has their own interest groups, and, it's my ball and I'm going to take it. And you see this from the president on down, it's my ball, I'm going to take it, and I'm going home. Well, as he's showing these clips, it's, he's showing clips about the riots where, people are getting into it with the police, Black Lives Matter, Antifa. They also show one clip, and I don't remember what town it was in, where Antifa, I believe it was, hey, we're gonna come protest, and everybody shows up and like, yeah, no, not so much. And
so you're saying videos. This is the video to the song.
This is the video to the song. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So it's like on MTV, you mean?
Yeah, right. With what's her name?
Just right after Teen Mom.
Right.
So basically, people are upset about he's singing about something that basically means something to a good portion of people, because the song's like number 2.
Correct.
And I went to go search this up in Google. I typed in TR, and it popped up. Try that in a small town. I was like, oh, that's easy. Apparently, a lot of people are looking at this thing right now for both good or bad. I mean, I don't know. To me, it sounds like it's just anything else. It's like I've said about rap. I've said about anything else. But it's the 1A, man. This is what we defend.
And I think
and there's nothing racist about it. Take a look at if you've heard the song or you haven't heard the song, look at the lyrics. There's absolutely nothing racist about it. They talk about what they're talking about is basically saying people don't want to be victimized. That's actually a big part of it. Hey, don't spit in cops' faces. Hey, don't carjack old ladies.
Right.
Don't pull guns on the owner of a liquor store. That doesn't zero anything about race. Nobody should be doing that. I don't care who you are. None of those things.
Right.
And what they're saying is we don't tolerate. Nobody should tolerate that. Honestly, in any part of the country, nobody should tolerate that wherever you live. But he's just saying that. Go ahead.
Back to the zeitgeist theory. It's, well, if you don't agree with something right now in America and it's not going the way you will, immediately call racism.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're saying it's not in there and the words aren't in there and people are concerned about it, just go to racism, because that defeats everything.
Right. And they're hanging their hat on the whole racism thing. That there's one clip, I think there's one clip, if I remember watching the video, where he shows the police the police standing in front of Black Lives Matter. But yet there's 97 other things where it's Antifa and everybody else is white, and they're taking one clip and again they're taking this and they're
taken out of context.
It's taken out of context because they're trying to push a narrative, and instead of looking at it going, hey, yeah, we're kind of in a shitty way right now. I mean, our country's kind of messed up, and we need to get back to our core values and not allow stuff like this to happen, because the majority of the people don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. And, hey, let's start putting this train back on, the train back on the tracks. No, we're going to pick this one little thing out and call it, racism and everything. And here's the other thing, as far as the First Amendment, Jason Aldean and his wife, I forget her name, they've never been one to hide their political views. They don't spew it. Like, they don't get on their TV and the radio and all this other stuff and say that every time. But if you ask them a question, they will tell you the answer.
Well, the answer that they feel, they have a right to feel. Like,
right.
That's like what bugs me about this is it's like people that get upset about this. It's like, we've talked about this. It's like the idea of, I disagree with you, so therefore I'll just go to a base argument of calling it racist because of what's going on. Look, if you're saying that this isn't, like, you're drawing more attention to the fact that, well, why are you saying it's racist? We're not saying these are the only people that are doing this. Look, when all three of us were in the riots. Like, every cop in America that's been on the job as long as we are, were part of the George Floyd riots. If you lived in any town area that had a population center, which we did, I'm going to tell you, the people in those crowds weren't black. They were white people.
I know.
They were white people that were pissed off with funny painted hair, throwing bricks, rocks, whatever. I think the only person that I know of that was charged with anything was a Hispanic person for throwing like an incendiary device at us.
Right.
And this is just me talking, but the bottom line is like, why is it racist? Like, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. It was steeped in racism, but the people down there were not of a different race than me, to be honest with you, the vast majority of them.
And Aldean, Jason Aldean came out and said, he put out a statement on Twitter, and he basically said, these references that you're making on this are meritless and dangerous. He said, there's not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it, and there isn't a single video clip that isn't real news footage. And while I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far. Again, those images, isn't that the big thing that happens a lot of time with music and movies and art, is that sometimes there's things that are controversial and they get people talking, and
it's your story, which is the truth.
Right. Yep. And he's just simply saying, this is what was going on. I don't think anybody in their right mind, I don't care where you live, rich, poor, in between, wherever, do you want people, you're not trying to infringe on people's rights. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are rioting and causing billions of dollars in property damage. And no one wants that faction of people coming to their community and destroying their homes and their businesses. I don't care who you are.
And the fact that, and then Jason Aldean's manager came out after this. I don't know if you guys saw this press conference. His manager came out afterwards, and he said, and I want to thank everybody who complained about it, because now Mr. Aldean can buy everyone in America a Bronco. You're only making him richer. So what you're trying to do to silence him, you're actually making him louder. Like, this goes back to like years ago. Like, I loved Rage Against the Machine because they were just so hard and heavy. I talked about that kind of metal. And, it's like, the song of like Killing in the Name of. There are lyrics in there as a police officer that I find so like offensive. Like some of those at workforces are those that burn crosses. It's like, get out of here. Like, we have to sit and listen to this, and it's like, oh, it's played on mainstream media and songs. I mean, like every radio station
been listening to it for 30 years.
It's not been banned by like, iTunes or Apple Music or any of those kind of things. And it's just like, look, it's the First Amendment. It's art. The minute we start silencing people, it's like, we are not Americans anymore. So stop telling me, because you hate Jason Aldean, that he should be silenced over this. Just like Rage Against the Machine shouldn't be, and rappers shouldn't be. This is all art. It's an expression, because once we start, we're not going to stop silencing people. And we're going to fracture us on a level it's unbelievable. If you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. That's your right. The Dixie Chicks, remember them? Remember that country? This is my knowledge of country. The Dixie Chicks, Chris, remember them?
Yeah.
The Dixie Chicks. Beautiful songbirds, those
remember
girls
them
were.
because they don't really exist anymore.
The beautiful songbirds out of Texas. And then the lead singer, Natalie, whatever her name was, got up there and said,
yeah.
Well, people turned on us from the countryside. This isn't right. We're being silenced. No, you're not being silenced. You're just not being listened to anymore. You can say whatever you want. There's no guarantee under the Constitution that you have to be heard. And when people were like, I don't want to listen to this, they were going from playing stadiums to they're probably playing music halls now. Look, I'm sure that they would have much rather stayed making the money that they were. They can hide behind whatever it was, or they can even stand proud of the fact that they stood for their principles. But I bet you money they don't have the entourage and the money and the things that they used to, and no one listens to them anymore.
But that's the thing. But that's
you might know more about this, Chris. But the country music television CMT they pulled the video.
Yeah,
I'm sure. And I don't know. Their social media and the news are referencing.
Devil went down to Georgia.
They're referencing this as CMT's possible Bud Light moment.
Right.
So, but then I haven't heard any more on that yet. But they got some backlash.
They pulled that. Luke Bryant then pulled his videos from CMT, pulled the ownership rights. Who's that guy? Who's the guy that sang the NFL theme song for a long time?
Slim Whitman?
No. Oh my God, his dad was a big singer too.
Oh yeah, Hank Williams. Yeah. Hank Williams Jr. can't touch Hank Williams.
He resigned from the board. Like, it's a big deal. And again, for me, it's art, and art is your expression. Just like what was it, the NWA or whatever they were that were talking about killing cops back in the 80s and stuff like that. Or whatever it was. Guess what? I didn't like it. I thought it was racist, but I didn't listen to it.
Well, the problem is the power brokers in those industries are like, they're obviously, they completely show their hands. They're the worst poker players in the world. They lay their cards out on the table and go, we're going to ban this music because we don't agree with it. We're not going to promote it. We're not going to let it. It could be the best music going, but they'll ban it. They'll silence people in the process. Like the same thing happened this week. Now, everybody hates Twitter now. What changed about Twitter? Just the owner. And the guy that says, I'm going to give everybody a forum to speak freely here. Well, now it's got to be called X because that's what he always wanted to turn it to. But now Twitter was like, oh, well, that's a useless because it's now fair. You know what I mean? It actually practices the First Amendment as opposed to silencing people. This is the stuff that we beefed about COVID. Like you couldn't stand up to the science was the science and you couldn't question it. Like you can question God every single day. And religion and faith and institutions like that, but you can't question the science here. And this is where I think people have reached, the people that are listening to this song from Jason Aldean and liking it and appreciating it and spending money on it are tired of being told they need to shut up and get in line while they let everybody else burn their cities down and everything like that. I mean, and that's what I think people are upset about. I don't care for the song one way or the other. I mean, it sounds like it's got some lyrics that I might be like, yeah, okay. I haven't stood in the middle of that. Maybe I agree with this dude. But in the same sense, it's like, even if I disagreed with it, I wouldn't say silence this guy because we stand out there as cops to protect people's rights to do that. To say what they can say. If it's in the Constitution that I sworn to uphold it, I'm not going to stop it from happening. I mean,
and how often is it that you listen to a song, like to Chris's point, that you might not necessarily, it doesn't turn into a giant political statement and huge thing. You might not agree with some of the lyrics. Same with Rage Against the Machine. Loved and listened to their songs. Never gone and seen them in concert because I think, again, I don't necessarily agree with kind of who they are, but it doesn't mean I don't like their song and I don't. It's not something good to get me charged up if I'm running on the treadmill. Whatever, man. You guys sing about whatever you're singing about whatever your perception of this is or whatever. I don't care. I just think it sounds all right. Now, if it was something again, you're not condoning something if these lyrics did have some kind of racist overtones in them or something like that. No, but it's not. And you talk about just music in general and the lyrics of a lot of music out there that a lot of people find just generally offensive, in bad taste. You know what I mean? Mistreatment of women, of different people.
Right.
And that's
Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Right. Give me a break.
Right.
That started getting to be, that started over Christmas too. People started, with that.
The best
stuff.
one I saw, and I was talking about this right before we got started, was the side by side comparison.
Oh yeah.
Of
Cardi B or something, right?
Cardi B's WAP. If I don't need to explain everybody what if I
it'll be in the wording.
Yeah. Wet ass.
Right.
Yeah. So
cat.
Right. That's the same thing.
Right.
But like, just I want to read it just because like when you see what his lyrics say in this song and what people are getting so bent out of shape about. And again, there's nothing wrong with what she's saying either, but it's just that if just to read the first couple, I have to do this because it's funny when it's side by side. Okay. So you got Jason Aldean song. He says, sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool. Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. We'll try that in a small town. Okay. There's that. I think a lot of people would get behind that they don't. I mean, do you condone old ladies being carjacked? Like that's what we're saying here. So now the other side, her song, again, kind of apples and oranges, but when we just talk about wording and song lyrics, beat it up, N-word, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face, swipe your nose like a credit card, hop on top. I want to ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look at my eyes. This pee is wet. Come take a dive. Okay. That's probably, I apologize to all of you that have hopefully not young children listening to this, but what does that
is going to have to put parental guidance on this.
Stuff, but like,
just saying, that was rough.
Wow. I mean, the lyrics are, a lot of people would find that offensive. I mean, you're basically making women, you're objectifying women. There's so many things that you could say about that. And what value does that add to the advancement, women have had and all this kind of stuff? Again, it's just a song. I get it. It's a song.
But still,
but you know what I mean?
Again, but that is the song that I heard it once. I didn't like it. I don't listen to it, but I don't.
You're not freaking out about it.
I'm not freaking out
about
it.
Cancel this. Cancel Cardi B because I think her song is inappropriate about
And I've got two daughters, and this is so offensive.
Right.
I just put them at risk that men could think that this is the way that they should treat women and things like that. Here's my stance on all of it. Don't fuck with art. It's art. It's America. Right. It's the First Amendment. Don't mess with it. If you don't like it, don't look at it. Don't pay attention to it. Stop telling us what we can all do and not do. Like, look, we have jobs because people don't follow rules. But let's stop messing with amendments that say you can do these things. Like, again, if you don't like it, don't look at it.
Right. And this is why I like Air Supply, because you can't go wrong with Air Supply.
Right. You're all out of love.
You can't.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
You can never go wrong with Steve Miller. Okay?
There's two less lonely people in the world today. Right. I mean, I'm just saying, how can you go wrong?
Right. To me, I thought Sympathy for the Devil was controversy. And then I listened to it, and I listened to the lyrics. I'm like, he's actually saying, like, if you listen to that song right now, Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones, it's actually a commentary for the modern day. Like, all the sinners are saints. Like, he's just basically saying, like, the devil's having his way because we're all just so stupid and caught up what we're divided about. Like, look, the song is offensive to you. I get it because you don't want to think about, like, what happens in small towns is racist or awful or, bigotry is being different about it.
Right.
Because that's how Jason Aldean's not going to make even more million. Like, I can hear them putting black porcelain toilets in his house now. Like, black porcelain. You know how expensive that shit is? With gold handles like that?
With the gold flushers, yeah.
Right. Jason Aldean's like, I think he's got one in his
I do know how expensive that is. But anyway, go ahead. We'll talk about that later.
He had that in his summer house.
Right. This is crazy.
But yeah, but now it's shot to number one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to ride the coattails on this thing, all because he didn't make a big deal out of it. It came out. And even when he talks about it, my daughter was at his concert. She was working Country Thunder. Her band went to Country Thunder, and they got a chance to see Jason Aldean. And he even came out. He's not cussing at anybody. He's not yelling at anybody. All he's doing is explaining, this is what the song was about for me. thank everybody who has been backing me up 100%. This has got nothing to do with racism or whatever. It's got to do with where our country needs to get back to. And that's it. And he just goes on with the song.
Yeah.
I'd be more insulted by that girl that says you can't take a selfie at her concert, that country girl. I think what's her name? Is that Minnie Pearl
Miranda
that was doing that?
Lambert?
Is that
Yeah. Miranda Lambert.
Is that Minnie Pearl? Who was that?
Minnie Pearl.
No, it's Loretta Lynn. No, it's Patsy Cline. I'm sorry. That's who it was. No more selfies.
I don't think we even
I'm a
hit
coal miner's daughter.
We did 80s women country stars. You're still in the 70s, I think.
Tammy Wynette said that? This is crazy. Wow. But anyway.
But I just think that people just have gotten on this bandwagon to try and make things, the whole woke cancel people out instead of just, and they were talking about the other day, and I think it was Reba McEntire came on, and she in a 30-second clip, she goes, you know what, this is so stupid because you know what, if you have an issue, I don't know, maybe we should sit down and talk. I don't know.
Did they interview her at the Buc-ee's jerky counter down in Florence, South Carolina? Is that what she's doing now?
I haven't been to Buc-ee's yet.
Oh my God, you did. That store is for you.
I heard the barbecue.
What south
phenomenal.
of the border wished it could be.
What?
I'm just telling you. There's the. It is. If you never,
I'm a
Jason
truck stop
Aldean,
gourmet. Like with the roller hot dogs. I love all that stuff. I take a lot of shit for that, but
you're not going to get those at the Buc-ee's, dude. You're getting high-end beef jerky, brisket.
No.
Oh,
what did you
next
have?
time you come down, you gotta go to Wawa.
Man, I get so much
There was a
left
commercial
to do
in New
in my
Jersey
life.
when I was a kid. Mama, I want Wawa. That's what it was. That's the kid said, Mama, I'm going to find it and play it for you guys.
When I'm driving out to Kansas, the best I can do is a Love's truck stop, 2 for $3.33 hot dogs on the rollers.
No, that's not.
And I just get looks like even the truck drivers look at me like you're disgusting. Like we use those truck stop showers, and you eat those hot dogs on the rollers.
Like this is the deal.
I'm starting
with
a blog,
like,
I think. Actually.
This would be the. On that note, we'll end this, and we just wanted to talk about this to say, look, guys, like it's everything. This is you have a right. People say, oh well, it's really pro police, and I was just like, well, yeah. I mean, have you ever had somebody spit in your face?
Right.
Yeah, of course I'm going to support somebody that says don't spit in my face because
it's a song, and I think it's what we have created in our society right now in regards to, I don't like this, therefore let's just stomp it out, and it's horrible. But what I suggest is, like we all suggest, I would go listen to the song, make a determination. Mm-hmm. If you like it, support it. If you don't, then you don't. I personally support it. I think there's no racism in it. I think it's a good song. I think it has a lot of values that we try and push on the show here, that we got to get back to some of our core values. But, again, like we always tell you, please listen to other people's stories, respect other stories. You don't have to agree with them, but also you insist that they listen to and respect your story also. Thank you all for listening. Please go to where you get your podcast and download, leave a rating, review, subscribe to 3 Cops Talk, please. It helps us get the word out to make this world a better place. If you have any suggestions for a show, comments, please email us at 3copstalk@gmail.com, the number 3copstalk@gmail.com. And you can also get all the old episodes on the website or where you get your podcast at 3copstalk.com. Thank you so much.
Buc-ee's has this on 8-track now, this song.
Roll on.
Ever wanted to ask a police officer a question? Mail your questions to 3copstalk@gmail.com. That's the number 3, copstalk@gmail.com, and we'll answer them on the show. Follow us on Instagram at 3copstalk. That's the number 3 copstalk. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.